Hey Squishies, back again with another vlog. This is Dirty Pair, episode 21. No way 463 people just went missing, or something very close to that. This was a good one. It wasn't super humorous, though there were a couple jokes that stood out. Honestly, the only one I can really remember off the top of my head was really dark, though. Excuse me, sorry. That would be when Kay makes a crack about how upset the little boy Arthur is, that he might kill himself. And Yuri then Yuri laughs it off and then goes to his house, and we see just his feet hanging down. We don't see the top half of him, but we see his legs hanging down as if he has hung himself. And then, of course, she rushes in, and he's actually being dangled over the ledge by Moogie, and they're playing. And my immediate response was, that is dark. That is a much darker register of humor than the show usually goes for. The episode as a whole was a really interesting concept. I actually really like it. It was a mystery, which the show has done surprisingly little of, now that I think about it. There's been a few, but this is a really big one. The space plane which is exactly like a modern airplane, only it goes in space. It had 463 passengers on it. It had 463 passengers on it when it passed, or 463 people, because I'm pretty sure that includes flight crew. It had 463 people on board when it came out of warp or whatever. And then in the 2 hours between that and landing, all 463 people disappeared. And it somehow landed without a crew. And the only thing left on board is a child's doll. And as the story unfolds, it's kind of meshed in with this family drama of the boy and the girl. Like, the two children are separated because the parents are separated. The parents live on different planets now, and the mother took the little girl Melody, who was presumably the owner of that doll, and has disappeared. She was on the plane, flying to visit her father, who is the head inspector of the case, the local contact for Kay and Yuri, and Arthur's father. Arthur is a strange kid. He's pretty clearly being stalked by some dude in sunglasses, and I can't tell. So, when Kay was flipping through names and faces of the disappeared people, and then later she goes to that bar where she meets the mother, whose name I'm blanking on, the mother looked exactly like one of the people from one of the faces that Kay was flipping through. So at first I thought, oh, have they not really disappeared? Or have some of them not really disappeared? Or were they never on the plane at all? There's a Deep Space Nine episode that has this whole mystery courtroom thing going on, that kind of the conclusion of which is that the supposed victims never existed. They were never there. So that's that was a possibility that was running through my head. But then apparently she wasn't one of the people who was on it. And the reason I had thought that was a possibility was because there had been an earlier scene where somebody tried to kill Arthur. Or at least that's what seems to have happened. A forklift carrying oil drums because for some reason you carry giant piles of oil drums on a forklift instead of like having a big drum. Anyway, the forklift went out of control and dumped a whole bunch of oil drums, and Yuri jumped in to swoop Arthur out of danger, and Kay was spattered in oil. And there was a man watching who seemed, the music and the framing and all made him out to be very sinister. Presumably this was an attempt to kill the little boy. And he also, shortly after that, when Kay is flipping through the faces, I thought I saw his face in there. So I don't know if that's something, or if it's just the reuse of faces or similar art style, or I just am imagining things, or what, I don't know. But it was definitely a thing, because that guy then openly tries to kill the little boy. He comes after him in a, rather nice looking car, actually. Not quite a limo, but black town car looking thing. Anyway, he tries to kill the little boy and gets driven off by Kay and Yuri. Tries to run him down with the car. So there's somebody trying to kill the little boy, and they're trying to make it look like an accident. The little boy is also absolutely certain that the messages from the kidnappers have to be fake. So I have a suspicion, because the little boy has also been depicted as being, quote-unquote, really good with computers. And he's got, all this computer equipment in his home that he's, built himself. My suspicion is that the little boy is working with the kidnappers. This is all a plot to get his parents back together, but it's gone out of his control. And now the kidnappers are demanding money that he wasn't expecting, and they're trying to silence him. That's kind of my working theory. Regardless, I really like how Kay and Yuri are characterized in this one, because normally one or the other comes out looking bad, or they're a little bit indistinguishable, they're just both awesome badasses, which nothing wrong with that. I enjoy them both as awesome badasses, but this episode actually did a really good job of giving them distinct personalities and distinct roles, yet at the same time making them both very competent. Yuri, we see, is, and this is often the case, that Yuri is the more traditionally feminine of the two. So we see a few scenes that make it clear that Yuri is way better with kids than Kay is. Kay really doesn't get what's appropriate around children or how to behave around children. She's clearly anxious around Arthur, to the point of making, inappropriate jokes. Whereas Yuri is much more, she's got this nurturing side to her that wants to take care of the kid. They're both investigating angles on the case. They're both getting information that is clearly going to be vital. Yuri is the one that Arthur has bonded with and trusts, and he clearly knows something. So Yuri's going to be the one that's able to get that out of him. Kay is the one that's been going out, investigating, looking into things. She's got her own sources of information. She's the one who discovered that the mother is also around and investigating the disappearance. So they're clearly, going to have to work together and going to have to bring together disparate skills, which is great, because too often the show either doesn't depict them as having different skills, or depicts one of them as being less competent. It rarely manages this balancing act, which is doing really well here. So yeah, I just overall really enjoyed this and really liked this episode. I'm really looking forward to part 2, which is something the show has not done before. There's, I think with the exception of the second episode, which mentioned things that happened in the first, I think you basically have to watch the first episode first, but other than that, the show's been completely episodic. You can watch it in any order you want to. So that to be continued had some real impact. You know? It was a surprise, and I enjoyed that surprise. So yeah, I guess that's about it. I'm looking forward to the next one even more than usual. So yeah. I don't even really know what else to say except that's about it. This was great. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Check out my Patreon for early access to gaming videos, vlogs, essays, and more. And I'll see you all next time. Bye!